people as horror is happening, but it's up on a screen. And even though it makes you nervous and it can make you even scare people, hopefully it does, you still know at the end of the day you are safe because you are outside of that experience looking in on it. And my show is the same way. Even though people want to see, cremations, decapitations, and levitations and all this other stuff, they're still safely sitting in the audience. And even though it's a live experience, so it's more visceral, they're more in there. They're more invited into that world and into that experience. Certainly, in a live sense, they're still safely in their seat, and they're not up there. They're not the ones sitting there, lying in a cremation waiting to be set on fire. They're not the ones sitting there, waiting, for this madman to come up with a blade and chop off their head.
Oh, yeah. Well, how do you get somebody to levitate? I mean, and pull it off in front of an audience? I mean, I remember Copperfield, he'd do levitations, and then he'd run this, like a hula hoop or whatever it is, across the girl and back and forth to show that there was no wires. I mean, how do you levitate somebody? I mean, I don't want to have you give your trade secrets away, but how do you do it? There's techniques, and it's clearly a mechanical thing. Other than that, I can't speak to anything specific. Okay, in other words, Ron,
Yeah,
I know what you do. You got a huge magnet right there on the ceiling, right? And she's wrapped in tinfoil underneath her clothes, and so then no, I'm sorry, but
possibly we fill her full of helium. Possibly, I'm not saying that's what we do. Hey,
it's a possibility.
Yes.
Well,
all things are possible.
Yeah, helium is a lot better than hot air.
Oh, yes. Yeah. See, if that were the case, we just run out to Taco Bell before the show, and bang, you're good to go.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you went to Taco Bell first and then did the cremation, you better watch out because it'll be a bad blowjob.
That is going to go. That's going to go sideways. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said that.
That is not going to be a pretty cleanup, by the way.
No. Yeah. Sorry, Taco Bell. I actually stopped at Taco Bell today. Does anybody have any Pepto-Bismol?
There you go.
No, I did. I went to Taco Bell today. I got their $5 meal.
There you go. I like that 7-layer burrito. That's a picture. Yeah.
Yes. Occasionally, I even find meat in my burrito. So, I mean.
Good stuff. So, Taco Bell, come in, sponsor the show. We're waiting for you.
Yes, I think after what I just said, I don't think they will. I mean,
Well, maybe they have a sense of humor. Maybe they join us anyway. Yes. I mean, after all, they're the ones that had a spokesperson that was a talking chihuahua for years. So, maybe.
I don't know. A month ago, KFC in the UK ran out of chicken. Mm-hmm. So I did a little thing about Kentucky Fried Chicken running out of chicken. Like how can you be a KFC hysterical. And not have chicken? Well, you know what? I got an email the next day from corporate, saying, "Hey,
really?
Yeah, they did run out of chicken and 800 and some, but then it was a big explanation why they did, but they didn't really appreciate my little joke about KFC running out of chicken."
Well, you know what? If that's a fact, then they really can't get on you for talking about it because it's news at that point. So that's a little odd and heavy-handed on their end.
Yeah, but I kind of mentioned that their employees were banging the chicken's head against the wall. So I mean,
Well, it might have been a particular take on your humor of it then, but I think it's funny.
Well, another thing, I had an ex-DOD agent on our show, and he was saying a lot of...
Really?
Yeah, and he was saying a lot of things you can't say on the internet or telephone, otherwise you'll get, they automatically pick it up.
They'll flag you.
Yeah, and record it.
Oh, yeah.
But then he also told me it's not just our country, because if you go on the internet, you got all these other countries. Well, my son is my producer for the show, and he kind of was, reading like the funny news, which we do occasionally. But he kind of mentioned something about the leader of North Korea coming out of the closet. which wasn't quite right. Right now, we look each morning and we look at how many people are listening, what countries they're listening from. Never had anybody from North Korea listen to the show. Never. On all 5 months.
Didn't think it was very likely, right? Yeah.
The next morning, I'm looking at it. The government, in North Korea was listening to the show. And, then I figured, okay, well, that's kind of freaky. Then 2 weeks later, he kind of made another little remark. And then I looked the next morning, and then I found out, guess what? North Korea listened to the show.
Wow.
So,
they're monitoring.
They monitor. Yeah. There are certain words you can't use.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, like you say, even here with all the listening in on everyone's conversations, things get flagged, and everyone is. Even Facebook, look at what they've done, getting up and all of your stuff and, and they're more than just disseminating it for their own purposes or their advertiser purposes. They were then turning around and, and illicitly selling all of our information and stuff. And that's not going over well, is it? So.
Not really. Yeah. And this person told me that the big G is actually involved with the government. So, all the stuff that you do, they actually know when you take off for work, they know you're, because they don't know they know more about you. Google does than probably the U.S. government does. And he said that they supply that information to the government. Yeah. Well,
there was some, they were trying to hold back on that at first, but I think they got persuaded that they were going to have to play along. But you think about them and on all of the tech and all of the tools and people's calendars and everything that are all attached to Google and Gmail, everything. Same thing, through Facebook and other social media applications and platforms. And, especially if you start to connect all that data, they know way more about us than they used to and way more than they need to. And even then there was something where they were talking about the current administration wanting to come out and then allow the ISPs, the internet service providers, to come out and then own that data, that is our personal data that we generate, that is ours, and then try and say that because it went over certain service that they became the owners of that information. And I don't think that's right at all either. So I think it's a big battle, one, to collect that information, and then two, as to who's going to get it, and then what are they going to do with that information? It's bad enough, and difficult enough when they want to use it for marketing to you. The good thing is on the marketing, it could be more tailored, so you're not getting a lot of crap you don't want. But on the bad side is, who gets a hold of that, or does somebody get that database and then that database gets hacked and then it's in somebody else's hands that nobody wants it in, So I think we need some oversight and some regulation and some transparency on what's happening to our personal data.
Well, you know what? That is scary because, I got a check here a month ago. I haven't even cashed it, but it was for my one of my credit cards. They got breached, right? And naturally, my card was affected, and along with all these other people, right? Well, there was a big settlement on it. You know how much I got out of it? And I got $2.38 settlement.
Out of a class action?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Once they split that up amongst everyone affected, is that disruption and that threat, even the future threat of that, is that worth $2 to you? It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't mean much at the end of the day. It means a lot to them because it was maybe a large chunk of money overall. But once that gets to the end user, the people who are affected, like yourself, it's such a pittance.
How about
nothing.
How about the person where their credit now is totally destroyed? It'll take them years to reestablish it, and even with the help, like with even this one credit reporting bureau, right? It's going to affect people so bad that it's so hard to correct anything. And after you've been compromised, it could be years of nightmares. You know, maybe you can't go
Absolutely.
out and buy that new car now, or you can't go refinance your house, okay? Or you can't get that job you want.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a nightmare. I mean, you hear those stories all the time where it's a nightmare and an expensive one if you go out and get help to do it, and it can still take years and lots of money to eventually straighten it out. I mean, I think that's where, having alerts and maybe a service to, safeguard you against that is totally worth the upfront money. But it's like so many other things. People just kind of assume that, well, I hear that and I know those stories, but it's not going to happen to me. That's not going to happen to me. And then it does, and then they're affected by it. So it's kind of everyone's thinking. But yeah, it is, it's all about that information and that data and that, and things that get hacked or taken other ways and then off, and it's sold on the dark web and in different places. And then, people never know, until it hits them and it's too late. It's already happened. So there has to be some way to safeguard, and harden that so they can't get the data. And so if something does start to happen that's suspicious, there's an immediate, halt to it before it gets, out of control and systemic.
Well, but he also was saying, like, the new credit cards with the chip on it is the worst thing that ever happened. And, that people can walk by you and just read your card. I didn't think much of it till about a month ago. My wife, I called up to make a credit card payment, and all of a sudden the account was closed. And turned out that somebody, and the only time she ever uses the thing is in the grocery store. And it turned out that somebody skimmed her walking by her, got her all the information, and went and used it and bought $900 and some worth of something on the internet. And that's scary because, I mean, technology, it makes it easier for the retailer, and easier for the company and the processor to handle it. But the end user, with all this advancement in electronics, is the one that's going to pay the price.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, it also makes a new opportunity for theft if, somebody can walk by and just read that chip like that. I mean, they do. They have to do something about that. I mean, I know they're even, I've seen ads and commercials for a wallet. It's a hard wallet, where, it is, protected, inside of that, where it can't be read inside of that. So everybody's going to have to now start, getting something to keep their credit cards in as they travel with them, to make sure that they're encased in something, in a sleeve, in a wallet, in something where they can't be read now. So, I mean,
wrap it in foil.
Will that do it?
Yeah, that's what he said. But he also said this, and then we'll get back to you because we only got a couple minutes left. He said that what's really bad is Walmart. You go into like stores like Walmart, right, with your credit card. Yeah. As soon as you walk in, they know what type of things you've been buying in Walmart instantly, and then all of a sudden he says if you take a look at your phone while you're walking around Walmart, all of a sudden it starts things that you've bought or things that you have looked at start appearing on your phone. So that's scary too.
It's called retargeting, and it gets very, very sophisticated. If you've noticed, I'm sure it's happened to you, it's happened to me, and probably a lot of the audience. You come out of certain establishments, certain stores, and then you immediately get something. You'll find it on your cell phone. Please rate your experience at blah blah blah. And I'm like, really? Do you need to track me every damn place I go now? Because that kind of retargeting is creepy and annoying. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Ron, we're down to like a minute and a half.
Yes.
Tell everybody where they can see you at, where you're going to be performing next at, how can they get a hold of you, and if you have a Facebook, give all that information out real quick here.
All right, you can find me on Facebook under Ron Fitzgerald Realm. There's a one for Dark Realm. Find Dark Realm on Amazon Prime Video. If you're on Prime, go in there, put it in your watch list, watch it as soon as you can, and check it out. Rate it. Thank you. And Fitzgerald's Realm. It's www.fitzgeraldsrealm.com. Go on there, sign up on my email list, and I'll let you know when and where I'm appearing, and you'll get a free custom track off of the Dark Realm soundtrack just for signing up. I'll send you a free music. So that's where you can find me. That's my home online is fitzgeraldsrealm.com. Find me there, and then Dark Realm on Amazon Prime. If you want to get the DVD of Dark Realm, it's in my store on my website. So, and then find me on Facebook,